Good afternoon, everybody. The last session of the day, and happy that you're here to listen to our talk. And it's not another Zoom meeting, and it's been an experience for us during the pandemic to be a way to communicate with our customers, in this case, other teachers in the ICT sector. So I'm joined today by Laura Chappell from Chapel University, and Laura's going to be going and doing the demonstration and taking us through the virtual site that we've been using for our events. And I've been on this Attendify or this one. I like ours a lot better, frankly. But and then my colleague Karen Stanton is not here with us today. She had some medical procedure done, so she couldn't make the trip, so she's not here with us, but only in spirit. So we have a sample event site, and there's the URL posted there. We'll make sure to share this, that you can go into the venue and you can explore. And we're actually using a venue that we used for the Digital Media Educators Conference back in October that we reprised. And I think you'll find it pretty interesting, exciting to explore and look around the venue and see a lot of students' work, digital media work that they posted there. The venue is a gallery that we created virtually for them to go into. And not only do you have access to it today, but you'll have access to the rest of next week too. So you have the whole week to go in and explore. And we've added some extra perks in there, and some gamification. So there is actually a competition on the site that you could go in and participate and win prizes too. Prizes for that we'll announce a week from today, next week. So my name is Richard Rodigan, and I was longtime faculty in the ICT at the community college, and got involved with the Cisco Academy program. Some of you may know that one. This is the 25th year of the Cisco Academy. That's a great public-private partnership with an IT company to help teach networking. And Karen Stanton and I got involved in supporting academies in California that were running the Cisco Academy. We have almost 300 schools that are connected with us. So we're the Western Academy Support and Training Center, and we did training for the Cisco Academy courses, but also we knew that it's not enough just to know Cisco networking. You all had to know a lot of other things: cloud computing, web design. All those things were all important features. So we got into supporting professional development. So next slide, please. And it was important for me as a teacher. It was important for me to continue to get training, to get skills. And there were more skills than I had time to train for and learn. And I was always looking for some opportunity to get training. And Nancy would know that in the old days, we used to have to do it on our own, and we didn't get any kind of bump in the salary. We had to get a master's or a PhD to get any kind of salary boost. So we were very interested in finding affordable training to keep up with the rapidly growing tech field. So next slide. So Karen and I got involved, and we're offering face-to-face. Remember the old-fashioned days, kind of like back here doing again today. And this was one of our last face-to-face sessions at Cabrillo College. It looks like a super spreader event.
I know. Now you look at it. We should have done fumes coming in out.
Yeah. So,
COVID.
It was great to have a whole week together. This was a boot camp, a whole week faculty would spend, but it was costly for them to do so. They had to get a hotel room for the week, and we had to feed them. Just feeding them was thousands of dollars. But we needed to have to get together, and our plan was to do this again the following summer in 2020. Right, so we had planned to meet there at Cabrillo again, summer of 2020, and in that March, we all know that March 10th, we shut down, and they said, well, it might only be a couple weeks. And so we held on a little longer, and then we knew that it was not going to happen. We were not going to be able to do face-to-face. We had to pivot quickly, and we went to just Zoom, and we did a Zoom session for our workshop, and it had mixed results. So next slide. Faculty were happy to do it. They got training their way, and we even have some of the folks have their glasses from the previous year. And this was an AWS cloud computing course, and the people that attended that remotely. So And it had great advantages because it didn't cost them to travel, and we kept the cost down for the actual event as well. for them to participate. But it was hard to be in front of a Zoom screen for 6 hours a day, working on the workshop for 4 days a week and then a half day that Friday. So we needed another solution to continue. And we knew we were going to have to do it again because the pandemic didn't look like it was going to resolve itself quickly. So next slide. Well, so we got involved with Laura, and Laura has a history with us. We have a winter conference, and she was often one of our keynote speakers. And so she knew what we were doing, and we knew about her. And she also was interested in sharing and doing things virtually, and came across a platform that she liked. And you did an event on that. Also was sort of victimized by the pandemic, had to go virtual. And we shared that with us. And so we went ahead and contracted with Laura to help us deliver our events. And one of them was the Digital Media Educators event. And for some of you that may have been involved in digital media before, that was an annual face-to-face event in a College of the Canyons at the summer. They hosted it face-to-face. They did it for 5 years. And then they couldn't do it anymore, different management. We tried to do it again here in the Bay Area, but we're not able to do it until this past year, 2021, in October, I did it virtually. So we, with Laura's help and her team, created a venue, a gallery, where people could come in. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Laura, to help us take a look.
Okay. All right, so at the end of the presentation, I will put up that link for the demo to get back into the demo, and an email address if you have any questions on anything that you see here. So yeah, so Brenda Cardinal works with me. Brenda is right there. She can answer questions also. Yeah, and like Richard said, we were planning an event in March of 2020, and we wanted to do a virtual event at that time. So we began by analyzing a bunch of different platforms that were available. And some of them were just hideous. We went through nightmare hell with a lot of these platforms to find so many of them that were so buggy, or they wouldn't let us touch the platform. We couldn't go in and just make a change and see it. We had to submit the change. We had to wait a week, and then they'd come back and show us what the change was. And it was just like, couldn't stand it. So we were really lucky. Our first event, we got how many people, Brendan, that core team?
Oh, like 3,000.
Yeah, 3,000 people in it. And it was just, whoa. So we were so excited. We had so much fun. And then of course, Richard and Karen come along, and their first event, and I'm going to take you in the administrative side of creating a virtual event. So you can see behind the scenes what it takes to do this. And I'll be really, really honest about the different skill sets that you need to put one on yourself. Because it's, you'll see just a moment ago, you saw some people walking across. That was green screen people walking across a background done with Photoshop, and we use Camtasia, and we use Snagit, and so we have all these pieces and parts. But the big thing about a virtual platform, I think, is that you can think outside the box. You are no longer limited to a conference center. You can have your event in any kind of a virtual environment. So it's very creative, which I think is really needed because you don't want to bore people to death. So uses of a virtual environment. Now, we're not talking about Zoom. So Zoom itself is great for streaming video and audio for meetings or webinars and things like that. We're talking about the virtual platform that goes around it, that does things such as it has a registration system for people to come in, register ahead of time, and maybe you sell tickets, and people that buy tickets for this session only get to see these sessions in their list. You put in either live video slots where your keynotes are speaking, or you can do something called SimuLive. SimuLive is awesome and really unique in a virtual environment where you go to your presenters and you say, okay, I got to manage 50 presenters. This is typical of Karen and Richard's group. We got to manage all these different presenters. There's no way they're going to show up at their 30-minute slot, and be logging into Zoom. So what we'll do is what we did in our core IT, which is we asked them, record a 30-minute video for us. Send it to us in advance. We will queue it up to play at that moment in time. It's just like it's scheduled. The audience has no idea it's recorded. And then the presenter logs in at the same time and communicates with the attendees in the chat window, answering any questions. So you've just doubled your presenter. And as somebody that has done tons of presentations, I would have loved that to be seen there showing packets on this, I do Wireshark stuff and packets and TCP/IP, showing all the packets and things like that and being able to answer the questions while the other me is talking and explaining these things. So it's really, really nice. Presenters, you got to really explain to them how this works though. They're like, now, how do I do that? It's like, oh, throughout the presentation, you're going to be answering stuff. So you can use this for on-demand training. So you can have an event that's actually open for 3 months. We don't look at a virtual event and say, okay, we're doing a 2-day virtual event, Richard, here are the 2 days. No, what we do instead is we say, okay, let's do the live days. What do we want to have in the live interactive days? And then how long do we want to just leave the event open on demand for anybody that couldn't make it through the other days? You could leave it open for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, and allow people to register and get in all the way through those 3 months. You don't have to stop them at the 2 days because we take all the content of the live days and we just turn everything into on-demand mode the minute they're done. The minute that session presents, it pops into on-demand mode. Anybody can go see it now. And we just let the event keep running after that.
Yeah,
So
one of the great things about that, like for you here today, you're here thankfully in our session, appreciate that, but there are other sessions going on too that you're missing.
right.
And with this, our attendees could meet every session and go back and take a look at the ones that missed. So.
And our analytics show that here's how many people came in and saw these sessions during the live days we had. And then here's the analytics for when we were in on-demand mode. Wow, people actually saw every single session because they had another 2 weeks to come into the venue. It's just so convenient for people because of that exact same problem. So obviously doing live training, I'll show you some different options of where live communications go into a virtual event. Interviews, there are some folks that are using a virtual platform to do an interview process, a business that says, hey, you know what, come on into our virtual event. We are ABC company, whatever the company is. And if you're interested in, technology A, you're going to go over into room A, technology B, technology C, things like that. The virtual event platform we use is called Engages. And you will see that name again when I give you the link at the end. But there's a job fair piece in there that allows us to pop up job postings. And people can go in and say, oh, that's the one I'm interested right there. And they can click on that and they can read all about it and they can submit their resume within the platform itself. And then there's also the ability of popping up on the fly meetings, one-on-one meetings. So you can do an interview right then and there. Obviously collaboration events, collaborative events where you have groups of people that want to discuss something. So you make a virtual room for them and you say, hey, so I'll use a project we're on for interplanetary communications. IPN SIG, this group, you know what? You're part of the architecture working group. You're going to go into the AWG room to go talk with your work group. You guys go discuss it, do your thing, do your documentation, whatever. And then when you're done, come back to the main event, close that up. So
we wanted to sell this particular session for exactly that. We do professional development, that's what we use it for, but it can be done for a lot of different reasons. Professional development in any sector, or to showcase your college and have people come in your virtual college and explore that way to attract your students.
to
come to you as well. Yeah.
And Engage is the platform company that we work with. Out of all the platforms we tested, they were by far the best. We are huge fans of Engages. I mean, it's just amazing what this company can do and how responsive they are to our needs and how they're constantly changing their product and how they plug in with other products like Zoom. I just put in the Zoom ID and it's like, boom, now it's on the schedule. Oh, cool. It'll auto start when people pop in and do those things. So, but it's really just limited by your imagination. And one of the things that Engages is going through right now is working with these huge colleges that want a virtual college campus now, online, open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to anyone, anywhere in the world. And that you'll see an image in a moment of a virtual college environment. But one of the things Robert Petrosian, the CEO of the company, was saying is, this idea of flying over the college and then you pick, agriculture. That's what I want to get my degree in. And so then when you select that, you're zooming into the agriculture building. And there are different things you can do inside of that building. It could be resources, it could be jobs, it could be talking with your instructors, it could be classes. Everything runs in the virtual environment. And of course, COVID changed everything. You know, people are much more open to the idea of going virtual on things. So here's what I mean by being creative. Your event or your project could be in the future. It could be in space. Karen loves underwater. So, you know, basically we have an underwater view here, and you could have different things happening in different areas of this underwater environment. These are flat images. I'm going to show you in a moment, though, as you saw a moment ago, the idea of having the video in there. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of an event that we don't have open yet, so you can see where it is in the development process and kind of what we're playing around with. Monday, the registration will go live. Here's an example of a campus environment where every single one of these little things can, you know, take you to a different location within the virtual event. And it could be even just taking a room and saying, you know what, we're just going to have this conference room and something's happening in each side. Obviously, having a very interesting environment is pleasing to your attendees, especially when you get younger attendees and they live in a gamified world. They live in a three-dimensional world. They live in a fantasy world. And I mean that in a good way, sort of, I don't know. But this is the event coming up, which is a medieval theme that we're doing right now. And so every single one of the vendors and sponsors will have, you know, their medieval flag. Karen and Richard are going to be working in the what do you call that? It's no, you guys are the anvil, smithy, the smithy, yes. Yes, gosh, couldn't believe that. So, you know, and I haven't added them into the video yet, but I'm sure you will see them somewhere in the event. Okay, so I'm going to go through the timeline of development for an event like this. This has been our timeline and the way we've done it. I learned at least one really big thing in developing this out. So we start 4 months out before the event. And at that time, it is defining what is the theme. So Richard and Karen, you know, they've done a Hawaii theme. I'll show you that. They did a race car theme, doing medieval theme.
Outer space.
Outer space, that's right. And we did the art gallery theme with Olivia here. So you kind of have to think about the environment and then what do we want to have in there? There are some givens that for us, I mean, we know we want the leadership board. We want gamification in there. We typically want to bring in something that showcases the vendors and things.
We want an after-hour room.
Oh yeah, and there always has to be a social lounge, and there's always got to be something funky or hidden in the social lounge too. So we had Star Wars. We had the cantina from Star Wars, and when you went in there, you would hear the very slightly the sound of the song from the cantina, dun, 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 you know, which haunted people, you know, once you heard that first time. But also, if you looked on the wall, you would have seen some spray paint messages that had to do with WASTC. So this is the time where Richard and Karen would focus on getting that call out to the speakers, reaching out to those speakers and finding out who the vendors are going to be to go in here and starting the marketing plans.
So we had help with that because we've been doing this for a while, doing it face to face with our winter conference each time. So we had, you know, we have speakers that come back and want to do, and we found that this really enables them to do a lot more than they were doing before. It's a lot easier for our industry partners to do something virtually, less costly for them, and they're much more willing. This coming event in the summer, we've got 24 different workshops, and half of them are being supported by industry folks. So Oracle and VMware and Cisco, and it goes on and on. Yeah.
Yep. So the next part of this is the development time. And this is when our group is primarily working to implement the theme, try to get the feel for, you know, do you like this look and feel for things? Do we not want to have this element? Do we want to have this element? You know, just sort of getting the feel for the environment. And this is also when we start gathering the vendor images. As soon as the vendor signs up for something, here's the big lesson, I think, from a development timeline. Early in this process of building virtual events, we used to go to the vendors with a, you know, sort of a blank screen and say, okay, we can have your social media links up here. We can have your description of your company here. We can have your logo here. We can have your top resources that'll be downloadable here. And then we have a message board that can have your whatever your elevator pitch is for your company. So you need to give me your social media links, your description of your company, your logo. You need to give me your message that's on there, and you need to give me the resources. Send those to me. And that doesn't work that way because these vendors don't have time for that. And all of these things are on their websites already. It's just a matter of, will they be shifting their message and their focus before the event? Because we are 3 months out and we're able to put together their booth and say, okay, we got Alteryx here. I know their color is going to be orange. I know that the race car is going to be a McLaren. I know that their key message is going to be this. I can pull their Facebook page, their LinkedIn, their Twitter feed. I can pull all that from their homepage and I can see what their primary message is and I can work that into the board. So first contact with the vendors is typically, here's a draft of your booth. Here's your mocked up McLaren with your name on it. Here's your booth person. Some people don't like their booth people. And they're like, I don't really like that booth person. We did have one that was some funky, I don't know where I got the image, but the person was like, yeah, that person looks a little too much like a stoner. It looks like everybody in our company is probably on drugs. So like, okay, well, we'll change that. So that was a big learning experience because trying to get those vendors to give you time, they just don't have the time. But if you turn around to them and go, this is a draft, doesn't this look cool? And what do you want to change? They're like, oh, okay. Well, no, we did have some vendors that would go right to the edge and say, you know, I want a car, but I really want it to be convertible and I want to have women in it. And I want to have a scarf on her neck. And I want the car to be moved. I look like it's moving through the scene.
Oh yeah, those guys.
But we did that car.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Okay, so after, this development time keeps going. Now, these two timelines, when we get 1 month out, we try to tell the speakers, we'd like your videos. If we're going to do that simulive, we'd like your videos about 1 month before the event takes place. And most of the speakers are really good because you guys push them. We always have the exceptions, and that's why it's speaker deadline goes, all the way to a week out for, emergency. Because you're gonna have some speakers that they're gold. You don't want to drop them, and you put up with it. And I hate to say it, I used to be one of them people. When I would speak at Richard's conference, I would come in fly in 2 minutes before my presentation. Hey, oh, I told you I'd be here. I don't know why you're worrying so much, Karen. You're crying on the floor. What is up? Hi, I'm here. Oh, let's start. I don't do that anymore. So, but this is also at the time when we say those booth edits are due from the vendors. And again, there will always be the vendor that says, well, now that I know what you can do, we'd like to do that. But that happens. So we have a secondary booth deadline. And this is the point when we do lockdown and we start testing. And that means coming into the event as the attendee, clicking around on things, sending messages to other people, making sure that our white rabbit works. So we always hide something in our events. And we don't say anything about it to any of the attendees. We never talk about it. We just let somebody learn and then start talking about it and let them all get into a little conversation. We don't participate, just let them all, water cooler talk amongst themselves to try to see if they can figure out the white rabbit. And that's been really fun. And we've had some events where they've never found it, which is crazy. And then of course, when the event occurs, the big thing is you're hosting it. You need to be social. You need to open up the conversations and chat. Go to the vendors' booths and type something in. Hey, I'm so glad you guys are here, and get that conversation going. And your audience is such a great audience because they're very chatty. And we do something called the raffle run, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which is insane in a virtual event, but it is so much fun in a virtual event. So that's essentially the timeline that we go through. Here are the bullet items of what we always have to think about. Of course, we go through our pre-planning, as I mentioned, registration, whether it's free, it's paid, it's a combination. The one I'm going to show you is a combination, the one coming up that hasn't opened yet. The environment, that's of course where we have to think about
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Um,
The environment is again that theme and that gamification, what interaction, how we get people to interact with each other. Are our sessions going to be live? Are they going to be simulive? Or are they going to be on demand? The difference between simulive and on demand is simulive, the attendees think that they're live because they're on a schedule and they launch right at 9 a.m. that session starts. But it's a recording that plays at that time. Whereas on demand is, no, they're sitting over there and at any time you can go and see that. Our simulives always automatically pop to on demand when they're done. And we don't have to do anything about, for that.
And the presenter is there live.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chat. So
Yeah.
the presenter is there while the video's running.
Now workshops, that would be something like a 1 week workshop. And that's the medieval theme that I'll show you in just a little
That's our
bit.
plan
That's
for this summer to move our week-long boot camps that were at Rio College, for example, and do it first.
25 workshops.
We have 24 workshops planned over 3 weeks, 8 per week. Yeah,
No, we don't, because we have 9 on the second week.
that's right. We have 7 on the first week.
Yeah, nice try. Oh, well, then it's so simple. But on this, what we do is people pay to go into those workshops, and based on their login, they will only see the workshops that they've paid for. So it makes it really nice and clean on the screen. Booths, of course, there are things to think about there, whether people are going to staff their booths, which is always nice to have staff in the booth to chit chat with people as they come in. If you host a virtual event and you have booths and they are staffed, let me just tell you, you got to tell these vendors not to attack people when they arrive. The virtual environment will tell that vendor, hey, Susie Smith just arrived in your booth. And if they sit there and they're like, hey, Susie Smith, it's so great to see you just arrived in the booth. It's like, boom, out goes Susie Smith. You'll see them just pop out of the booth immediately. So it takes a little training sometimes. How customized will the booths be? We don't like the traditional conference environment booth look that a lot of virtual events do.
Like this one.
Raffles, will there be raffles at the booths? Meaning if you go into a booth, is there a little raffle ticket hovering up there that people click on and submit their name to get into the raffle, or the raffle run? So the raffle run is a brilliant idea for virtual events. Imagine all of your attendees here being told, 2 doors down, they're going to give something away in 3 minutes. You have to get there. And everybody gets up and they run down there. And you do this in a virtual environment. You literally broadcast in the event, hey, Alteryx is going to give something away in 5 minutes. Go over to their booth and say this in the chat window. And all of a sudden you see inside the virtual environment, you see whoosh, everybody moves to this one booth. And they're all putting this in, and then they're all putting in jokes, and they're all saying, pick me, pick me, pick me. And they're all saying, I really deserve to win, and all the rest of you are scum. I mean, they're just hysterical. And then you give away the award, and everybody's like, oh, congratulations, congratulations. And then it's like, okay, Cisco Academy in 2 minutes, and then whoosh, everybody goes over.
And the vendors love this because anybody who goes to that booth, they collect all their data, their email, their names, and everything. They don't need your business card. They'll capture all that.
You just gave the
They
vendor
love that.
their analytics, their leads very quickly there. Hosted booths, okay, resources in the booth, social media links, as I mentioned before. Okay, live discussions, this was really fun. We did this with Olivia's event, the DMEC event, and I'll show you that. Actually, I'll just show you that screen in a moment, what that looks like. And then takeaways after the event. Do you tell people they have certificates based on what they attended? Do you give away open badges? And Richard's group has gone the direction of open badges, which is absolutely fabulous.
We're using a Credly.
Credly, yeah.
Lane, so we got all of that. So.
Mhm. People love open badges, and if you brand it for your event, they put that on their LinkedIn page, and now you've got visibility on all of their social media pages with your event name. And then, of course, analytics are really, really important. We, in this Engages platform, we have the ability to say exactly how many seconds somebody spent looking at a resource, how many people clicked on this resource, how many people visited this booth at what times, who downloaded what, who filled out what raffle form. There's so many things that are available behind the scenes. So let me take you behind the scenes now into the platform. Let's see, I'm going to
do the Hawaiian one first. Or?
Yeah, we're gonna start with taking it to Hawaii. So, all right.
So you have some of the props. So one of the things we did to our presenters is we sent them through the mail, post, pair of sunglasses and a lei, because it was on Hawaiian theme. So when they did their video for Live, they would wear their lei and glasses. And we had Ryan Zirkos from LinkedIn. He wore his glasses and his lei the entire 30 minutes. So we have that captured.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here though, is you're seeing my administrative backend to develop this event. So keep in mind, you'll see a menu over here that wouldn't show up for the end users. And there may be some times where some extra functionality wouldn't actually be available to the attendees, but I think it's more fun for you to see the back end and sort of things I can do in the back end with this. So this is the entrance page. This is where people would register, sign in, and then we also had an event tour, a video that would play, telling people what to do when they get in the event. We also had a welcome video here from Richard and Karen. And I'll tell you, this wireless here is really slow. So I really want to capture the traffic, but I don't want to run Wireshark at the same time, but it's pretty slow. I don't have my audio up, but there you have Richard and Karen chit-chatting and saying, welcome to the event. I can't wait for you to register today, do this, do that, etc. Okay, so once people come in to the event, and we'll take you to what's called the home page. And again, I'm sorry, but this is pretty slow here on some of this. So this is our homepage. You can see we have the Hawaiian theme. In this particular event, we had sessions running on multiple tracks. We had 3 tracks running, and the format that we used back then was for tablet size. And we don't use that in the current events we're working with. We are going with full screen size, especially with a workshop where you got an instructor, you got hands-on labs, and they're showing you all this hardware and equipment. Really, somebody should be on a desktop system for that. So everything that you see here is now showing up as on demand because this event already took place. The dates of the event are over and everything just went to on demand immediately. But the top items that would appear across there would be your keynote in the morning. It'd be sitting in all 3 tracks and people come in and go, oh, I'm going to do the keynote. And when they click on it, it'll start and they pop right into the live keynote.
Yeah, the keynotes were live. They were not simulated. So we actually had 2 keynotes each morning with 5 presenters.
Yeah, and you can see that we did record the keynotes. And then what we did was we uploaded the keynotes into on demand once they were finished. And we post-produce things in my office, everything that gets recorded, even videos that come in from presenters. We do open them up in Camtasia. I live, eat, and breathe Camtasia. I love it because it's very simple. Doesn't have all this fluff I don't need necessarily. So we open it up in Camtasia. We clip the front where they're like, oh, let me see if I'm going to start my video now. Yeah, I'm going to start recording my video. Hi, I'm Jason Zeller, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, so often we see when they submit videos to us, the end of it is, this thing. It's like, it doesn't look clean. Let's clip off the end. Let's clip off the front and make it pretty for them. Very minimal post-production. We also compress the videos. Some folks would send me videos that were 3 gig in size. We are not going to deliver a 3 gig video down to our users. No, we're going to open it up in Camtasia. We're going to produce it in Camtasia with its full compression. We're going to make all the videos exactly the same, and they're going to feed nice and cleanly. When somebody wants to go into a video, let's see, some of these I might have clipped out of here more, but let's pull, since I was talking about Jason Zeller. Okay, so we have, the video area here, and then depending on what we want to do below that, there's about Jason and his session chat window, and then there's a survey. We embedded a survey in each one of these. Again, I have the audio off, so you're not hearing Jason chatting away, but once the video is on demand, people can fast forward through the video and pick different spots and have more control than when it's live. In the booth area for this particular event, everything was tiki huts. So let's say we go to, let's go to Cisco's DevNet. So Cisco DevNet has something called Devi. Do you guys work at all with Devi? Well, anyway. It's that little dude there. And they were so hot into Debbie, and they were talking to me about Debbie, that Debbie had to be somewhere in the booth. In Jason Zeller's booth, you actually see Jason popping over the booth, because my thing is, if you can just give me your face, I will find a home for it in your booth. Okay, so there's Debbie, and what you'll see here next to it is one of the white rabbits. So this was something that was hidden in the event, and if you're further back, you have a hard time seeing, but if I hover my cursor over, the bird will disappear and a little tiny hex code comes up on the screen. And the first number of the hex code is the order in which this hex goes when you put all the hex pieces together. And these are a lot of geeky people watching these. So if you put the whole message together, all the hex pieces together in order, you would end up translating that to ASCII text. ASCII text. It gives you a URL to go to. You click on that URL and you give me the answer that is asked on that page, and then you can win something. So we didn't say a word about the birds, and then all of a sudden you could have all this chatter going on about how many birds have you found? People are like, what do you mean birds? What about birds? And all of a sudden you could see the movement of everybody's every booth.
This is a tech audience, so they
Yeah.
like that hexadecimal conversions and, ASCII code.
Yep. So in this booth, what you see is you see all the links up the top, social media sites and the website for this this vendor. You have a submit an inquiry button that pops up, and if somebody's interested in stuff about DevNet, they just fill out this form. This system's really nice because it'll auto-populate based on my login, so I don't have to type my name into all the forms. It'll automatically put it in, but I can add different things. I better not send that to them because that will still go over to the Cisco folks. On the right-hand side, you have the interaction panel that lists the staff member that was working that day. And then you have the group chat area there. And in the group chat, this is where everybody comes into the booth and chit chats, and all of a sudden you'll hear, pick me, you'll see. Or maybe I told them to say, hi, Debbie, or something. I don't know. All of a sudden, everybody says the same thing. Yeah, hi, Debbie, I probably said for the giveaway. And then the visitor log is only available to the administrators. My visitors log is showing up in white right now because I've changed some of the color palettes for some of the work I'm doing. So I can read it from here. You probably can't read it from there. There, let that person in there.
Recording in progress.
Uh-oh. No. So the Tiki Bar was our social area. Every event should have a social area where people can go and just chit chat amongst themselves. So ours was a Tiki Bar, and you can see we have the WASTC wooden sign in the background. This is really cool in this event, to be able to see who else is in the event, and then we can map it against Google Earth here. So for this one, let me go ahead and bring this up. This event is done. You can see we had 352 attendees in this event. But you can see exactly where everybody in the world is coming from. And you can actually click on any one of these pinpoints and communicate directly with those people based on location. You can zoom in and see where in California people are and communicate with people that are local to you in California as well. So this has always been really, really fun. Here's the leadership board. I've turned, I didn't turn off for this event. Those really are the winners, by the way. So the leadership board is a feature that we turn on, and we associate points with different activities within the event. If you go and you watch a session for 10 minutes or more, let's say, so I know that you're not just popping in because you want to get points. But if you've watched one for more than 10 minutes, you will get 10 points. You download a resource from a booth, you're going to get 5 points. You go and you send a message to a booth person, you get 2 points. Oops. What do you mean? I'm plugged in. Am I not? Oh, maybe I didn't. Oh, that thing. Oh, I'll plug in. There we go. Here, happier. Thank you. So we give points for all these different things, and you decide how many points you want to give. And the system awards and tracks all that. People can see what they're doing, getting points for. Richard always shows up as top at the beginning. He's always first one in there. You can exclude administrators and speakers from your leadership system too. And then over here, this is a standard forum where people can go into an area and talk about things for just a related topic. Everything is organized in there. Let's see.
So when we have our face-to-face events, people like to during off times get together and network. It happens here a lot, right? In fact, a lot of times going out here, they're in the bar rather than session, and they're meeting with their peers and colleagues that they haven't seen in a couple of years. So we really wanted to have that. And this virtual event really kind of gives us a little bit of that with having a social place like the tiki bar to go to.
And you'll see that Richard and Karen are over there with their sunglasses on the far right-hand side behind the pole as well. And I believe we have minions hidden in this event, right? There's a minion right there, just an eye of one. So it's that idea of having things hidden and personalized. So I'm going to take you to another event now. This is the 2021 Virtual Faculty Development Week event. So let's see, that's going to be this one right here. Okay, so this is our space theme, and this is a workshop event. Our entrance page, everything is done as a space theme. Sign in, register. These objects that you see on the foreground here will personalize as we move forward and put some branding on them. I'm going to take you into this. There's our lobby page. This is our workshops page right here. So this is where I said, if you purchased, let's say you purchased this NDG class workshop for the week, that's all you would see on this panel right here, as you can see that. We had speakers lounge and some behind the scenes areas that would only be visible to the administrators. But if you go into a workshop, once you get inside of that workshop, there's a chat area for within that workshop, but the workshops were run on Zoom. So when the workshops ran, they would be talking and doing chat inside of Zoom and things like that. But in the evenings, or we left this open on demand after the workshop ran, they would come back in here and talk amongst themselves and talk with the instructor afterwards. Resources that are downloadable for the workshop. In this scenario, we had a lot of the workshops recorded. So you can take the workshop for the week and then you can go back and see every one of the day's recordings for the next 2 weeks. Workshop welcome, etc. Our space docs were the vendor areas here. So you can see the branding down below of the different sponsors. And let's say we go to DHD, pop these guys. You can see their booth is only staffed for certain times, and we have that defined. This is a foreground object in front of a background object, and then we did some customization down there. And you got the same idea here. I do have a little overlapping because I did change. I played around with these afterwards to show people, but those are the folks working in this booth. Here's, all the booth chats.
Go to the AWS booth for Space Dock.
Yeah.
That was AWS Academy there.
These guys.
Yeah, because they were pretty generous with their raffle prize.
I don't have those on anymore
yeah,
because once the raffle ran, I hid them.
Right.
Sorry,
Anyway.
I can bring it back though. I know how to do
Vendors
that.
are happy to provide some kind of swag or something, but some of this one was it was a telescope, I think, or something that they were giving away.
Let's see, I'm going to unhide some of the objects that are in
Okay.
here.
All right.
Some of them might be draft objects that we were playing with,
That's fine. All right.
but pop back over here. Yeah. Oh yeah. This thingy.
Okay.
Oh, wasn't that funny? I had a hidden pineapple on this. I don't know. Maybe that's. I don't know what that is underneath there that I had hidden. Yeah. So there's an example of where you have a raffle ticket and you just click on it and a form comes up. It says fill this out and you will be ready to go for this raffle. And of course, I don't want to submit that right now. There's the Star Wars Cantina. And if I had my audio on, you'd hear that. Okay. All right. So let me take you to another event. This event I'm going to take you to is the CARS. This is the Winter Educators Conference that just happened in January. The theme here was cars, and what you'll see is, right in the entrance there, we have all of the vendors visible. This one had a ton of sessions in it, 3 tracks. You can see there's our keynotes up on top. Everything shows up on demand now. Everything is themed out for cars. And because we had so many sessions, not everything would fit into the tracks. So these were on-demand sessions right away, ready to go for that event. And then we took the winter conference sessions and the DMEC sessions and popped them into this as well. So if they didn't get to those events, they could still come into this one and see all of the presentations. There were a lot of presentations available. These are all the vendors. You can see the increase in number of vendors. They're like, oh, it's easy. Sure, I'll be a vendor. I don't have to do anything. So we have a lot of vendors in here, and every one of these vendors has a custom car. So this is where for Alteryx, they sponsored a McLaren car. So I actually did go get the McLaren car and brand it up. And this is where we had, like, Google didn't want a race car. They came back, they were like, we can't have a race car. I was so tempted. There was a great graphic of one of these, and the front end was all smashed from being in an accident. No, I can't do that. That would be bad. Funny. This is the hex code that you suddenly see. Any pieces and parts sitting around.
One of the Google bikes there too.
Yep, the Google bike. It's that idea of customizing for the vendor. Here's the race. We want a convertible car. Yes. And so at the end, I put the little tire biter because I was always screaming at them, saying, I just need that final okay on this graphic. Do you like it? Do you like it? Do you like it? And one of the ladies said, you're just like a little tire biter. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to put that little doc in their booth. Yes. In this event, we also had a capture the flag take place. And that was managed by Irvin.
Yeah, so that's our cybersecurity guru and its high school programs. They create these competitions, capture the flag, and teachers are kind of interested in that. So we put one together for that. And actually, I think it was the college down south, Nancy, El Camino, that their team won that competition.
Oh.
Yeah, that was Coda and Coda and Kai. And they teamed up together, faculty, and they won the capture the flag.
And everything in here means something either to the students that worked on it. You'll see all the students are getting credit in the pop-ups, or Irvin. There's something about Irvin in those pieces in there. The pit stop in here is the social lounge area, and everybody loves dogs, so we had to throw some dogs in there. Let's see, and then we had the winners room. This is where the winners were announced for the different raffles. And in here we have our help desk as well. So that's where Brenda and I pretty much get online during the event and chit chat away with everybody coming through. It's very social. And that's what you want in a virtual event. You want to feel social. You want people to feel connected. So we chit chat with everybody online. I'm going to take you out now to the DMEC conference. Now this is the one that we have. Let's see, I'll just take you out to the demo. This is the one that you can all get to and log into. Here is the link to get into this exact event that I'm showing you here. It's engages.net/CCCAOE demo. So you can go ahead and play around. When you pop in, you'll be at the entrance. And in the entrance, I want to mention, I wrote a book on virtual events, and the chapter 15 of the book is nothing but checklists of everything you need to think about when you're doing a virtual event. It's like the checklist collection from hell. It's huge. But if you see at the top, it says click here to download the virtual event hosting checklist. So you download that, and that'll give you a huge start on building your virtual event. This is also if you want to reach me, or I think you get copied on this email, and Karen gets copied on this email also, the WASTC, and Brenda gets copied. So if you have any questions, or let's say you say, hey, I heard about this one virtual hosting company called, I so want to say the name of it. What do you think about them? I hear great things. It's like, oh, well, let me tell you, they can't do this, they can't do this, they can't do this, they can't do this. So we've just evaluated so many different hosting platforms. I'm happy to give you my thoughts on what it's like. When you come in, just go ahead and register. It's gonna show up as free for you because it's just a demo event. We're not doing anything with your registration information. We're not gonna pull those analytics or anything. We're not gonna email you. It's really just so you can go ahead and mess around. And once you register, then you just click the sign in to pop into the event. So this is the DMEC event done with Olivia. And in here, the theme is the idea of the gallery, being in a gallery. Here's where we had live discussions. So this doesn't have a booth area, but it had live discussions that took place on a schedule. And you see there's Olivia and Richard. And so we've got everybody here. And what the attendees would do is they would just click here, and I left that live, but the Zoom session is done. So it'll come up and say this is already finished, but I wanted you to get the feel for it. Basically, it opens up another tab and you would be in the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, we had kind of a tough audience of digital media educators, so we had to create a venue for them that would, you know, meet their standards. And then they really wanted to have that event be face-to-face. That's what they were missing. We were already like a year and a half into the sequestering, so they wanted to be back online and have that option. So we gave them a chance to meet face-to-face during several times during the 2 days.
And they wanted to really highlight the students' work also. So, and for all of you, I will tell you, if you go to the screening room, these are all videos by students except for one. This top video here is a video everybody should watch about kids on technology. This is an unbelievable film, and you have access to it right here. Boy, eye-opening about what this next generation is going to go through with their, you know, being brought up on social media and things like that. But this is all student videos that are in here. And then I created galleries, just art galleries, and it's all artwork from the students. And you can click on this little, you know, magnifying glass to zoom in and see that student's artwork closer. There is something hidden in this event also. So we'll see if you can find the seller.
And if you do, there is a prize. You have 2 weeks.
No, you have 1 week. Only till the 19th. Yes. Okay, so let's see, what else did I want to mention in this one? Let's see, we had the lounge in here again, live discussions. We did our sessions. Everything obviously shows up as on demand. And the rabbits that you see there, I don't know if you know Will Bullis, the artist Will Bullis. Will Bullis just passed away right at the time this was done, and since you have a digital media audience, this is, you know, why I wanted to put him in here. So this is the event coming up that has not been released, that has not been announced, or I guess you've announced it.
Yeah.
But the registration is not open, and this is the one that is the medieval theme on this one. And so you will see, you pop back over here. Everything's a medieval theme. This one's going to have a lot more video embedded in it. So we have, in this event, it's workshops again. So we have the Great Hall, which is where, you know, Richard and Karen will welcome people. The workshops area will all be focused on the knights and the queens and the dragons and things like that. I don't have it all populated yet. The marketplace, I don't know that we're going to go with a wall with a bunch of banners on it. I don't really like the color on that, but every one of the vendors will have a banner that fits somewhere into the medieval environment. And then when you go into these, we're now incorporating Blender into this. So Blender allows us now to build the three-dimensional worlds and take camera shots from different camera angles. And we're actually building a 3D development world. And we'll have something gross in there like that. I just love those rats. Well, and here's the fun thing is that this event, we start using more of the screen, but some people have letterbox screens. So if you open this up on your desktop and you have a letterbox screen, you're not going to see the rats. You actually don't see the rats. I think it's right here. You'll see the top of his head, and that's usually my way of saying, there's something below that, scroll down. If you see something on the bottom and you're like, what? It's just part of something. Scroll down, there's more underneath. And then when you scroll down, then all of a sudden you see that there's just this disgusting rats everywhere. Yeah, so, so we're having
It's
fun.
virtual, though, not real, so.
You know, that song, Ben, remember that? Ben, the two of us? Yeah, okay. That's gross. The tavern, of course, is where our social area is going to be. I'm just starting to develop that out. I do notice though, there are sunglasses right there on the counter. So that's probably going to take people somewhere. Somewhere I'll have those in. And then the help desk where Brenda and I sit, that's the dungeon. You know, we put ourselves into a dungeon, and we do have a rat going across in the bottom. But all the stuff you see on the left-hand side, it might be hard to see, but this is all of my command area where I work within the event. I can auto schedule emails. I can add extra rooms, make pop-ups appear, change the way the registration is and pricing on the registration, manage attendees, and you can even give attendees a group name and say, this group called Richard's Best Friends, they're allowed to go and see this other feature on the menu or in a room or something like that. Forms is how we do surveys. We do event surveys and we do session surveys. Marketplaces where our booths sit. Workshops is that workshops page I showed you. Media library is where I can upload all of my visual elements to and just pull from that. They use Amazon AWS as the back end. So it's really nice. And then, you know, here's where we deal with our analytics, where we pull huge reports for Richard and Karen of every booth, every object, every room, every attendee. And we can get all the way through registration too, of when people registered and what they registered for.
Yeah, it was great. It was a way for us to determine who earned a badge by really putting in enough time to get that. So we're about out of time,
Yeah.
though, I think. Laura,
Yep.
and, it's just what turned out to be just an alternative solution to not being able to do what we were used to doing face to face. It's turned out to be something that people really like, and the vendors like it. A lot of the participants like it. So they save a lot of money on travel. Maybe it might cost $1,000.
Yeah.
And, I know what we paid for this event. Our events are $50. So get that week-long workshop for $50. So yes,
And they're 100% virtual, like
100%.
what happened here.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
hybrid. This would be called a hybrid event. You have people in person and you have people remotely coming in. Yeah, it's not, we just do virtual completely.
Yeah.
And you guys get an attendee from France coming in and
Yeah, it's opened up to others, and we're happy to welcome other teachers to come in. And, you know, I taught for many, many years, and was desperate to get training somehow, anyhow, that I could do it, and know the need to keep up. And the tech companies like it too, because they're, you know, they're selling products and they want people to be trained on their products. So, we're happy to hook up with Laura and her team, and we're,
yeah,
you know, it's a 4-month cycle, so we do 3 events a year. That kind of fits pretty well. Keeps us busy all year long.
Yeah.
So,
but it's really fun.
yeah.
Because you can, you know, you can be creative and do something fun with it.
Yeah.
So you may want to take if you want to take a screenshot of this with your phones, so you'll just have that URL with you.
Yeah.
And you can pop in from your phone and do whatever, but we do design most of these now to be on desktop. If you go back, well, this one was tablet available, so.
Any other questions? Yes.
It costs the attendees $50, but you have a minimum number of attendees that makes it worthwhile.
Well, so we have other sources of income. So we're, WASTC is a community ed program, so we have to self-fund, but we have contributions with grants and things that helped us do this. And we have members that pay a membership fee for us every year. And so we use those funds to get back. This is one of our services that was, so we want to keep the cost down. So $50 is really a skin in the game. So they show up for the event.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about free events, virtual events. People don't show.
Yeah.
Unless you tell them you're giving away something, then they will show for raffles.
Just a quick question. is this platform mobile friendly as well?
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
students can also log in on the phone.
absolutely. It's all dependent upon you as the developer using this platform. So if I build a page, let's say, well, let's see, workshops is good. But essentially, if I build a page like this, and I go under my UI design tab up above, you'll see that it says device. And I get the choice of testing this look on, different sizes. This we're not going to build for somebody's phone because it's going to be these workshops with Pi, Raspberry Pi, labs and all these things. But this is what you're looking for in a platform. Yeah. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of platform developers that we worked with where we said, so is it mobile friendly? And they, oh yeah, absolutely. It's like, okay, let's do our test event. Let's get ready. We want to do registration. I can't do registration on the phone. Oh, well, it's not that mobile friendly. I mean, when you say mobile friendly, what are you saying there? It's like, oh my gosh. So this is so nice to have it, be able to test yourself.
A quick follow-up for that as well. Obviously, like setting this up, I'm assuming probably takes a while just to get used to it. But what is the engagement, I guess, like that you're seeing from students after you have set up this fair? Like, are students liking it? What's the feedback that you're
So
hearing?
our students are teachers,
Gotcha.
so that's our audience. So, I'm sure.
Well, we had our core IT event with, 3,000 people and the response was phenomenal. And of course, we were all just leading into COVID and people were like, yeah, I don't know, we'll see you in person next month, but,
Yeah, we thought the interest would wane, people just getting exhausted by virtual events and being in front of TV, but we incorporated things that really our participation has grown. So we had 450 people for our last conference. So,
yeah, it's fun.
So I would say my one big complaint with virtual is like, if you try to treat it like an event like this, where we're here for 3 days and everything's 8 hours. And do you spread them out more or do things so it's like maybe 2 hours, like, so it's less?
Yes, if you
Because I
want
can't
to.
sit there all
You
day.
can do anything you want. You could say, my event is gonna be, I'm gonna leave it open for 3 months, but I'm gonna have only live Tuesdays. Every Tuesday is gonna be live for 2 hours.
That's it.
And if you can't make it that Tuesday, that's okay, because it'll flip to on demand. So you can catch up before the next Tuesday live class. So that's the beauty, is that you can adjust it to your audience. So we do some where we always leave it open during the weekends because we know that instructors are teaching during the weekday and they'll want to catch up on the weekend after. So we always make sure we don't stop it on a Friday usually because, you want to roll over to the next day for them. And yeah, we would like to have an event that's open forever. You can come in anytime you want. And I may be hanging out in room number 406 and I don't know, Richard and I are sitting in that room chit-chatting about, let's talk about TCB header structures today, blah, blah, blah. Just let people drop in just as if we're sitting in the office and happen to have a whiteboard. So, yeah, that's really smart to think.
Questions?
Out
Yeah,
of the box.
we've got a couple props here, so take the sunglasses, the legs, every sentence out to our speakers for that Hawaiian thing. We were desperate back then to go somewhere and majority said we gotta go to Hawaii, so that's what we did. So thank you very much.
Thank you.